So, it seems that many people have gotten upset over my latest video. Even though we've already covered that politics is highly polarized, even though I clearly stated that I don't particularly like any of the candidates and a tax plan wins by default, even though we covered all of this in the very first videos on this channel, many of you still could not help yourself in reacting to what I was saying. And I knew that would happen. And much like Donald Trump, I went ahead and said it anyway. Do you think that I may have had a reason for that? Do you think that it's possible that I went and talked about the candidates in a video about opposition to possibly prove a point? Do you think that maybe old Frater had something else in mind? O ye of little faith, what do you take me for? Because opposition just isn't going to crop up only in your daily circumstances. It's also going to come up in the opinions of others. And you're going to have to learn how to deal with that if you wish to make any progress. It didn't matter which candidate I ended up landing on. I knew that many of you would react to it, despite giving every hint and indication for you not to react to it. And so we're going to have to go back to basics, which is always a good thing to do from time to time, lest you forget. So, let's get into it. Polarity is absolute, and the magician strives to depolarize himself, especially from the opinions of others. Otherwise, you'll simply be at the effect of other people all the time. Oh, sure, you'll be able to sling spells and make things manifest, but you'll always fall short of true mastery of the self. All the pieces on the board are polarized, black or white. The players are not, and it's the players who move the pieces, just as easily as I moved many of you into reacting so that I can do this video. Polarity is the method of control. Why do you think religion and politics are so highly polarized? It's divide and conquer. If you were all brought together in unity, there would be no polarity in which to control you. It's simple magnetics, attraction and repulsion. And so all anyone has to do to attract you is to use the same polarity and tell you what you want to hear. And if they want to repel you, they'll use the opposite polarity to push you away. It's really not that complicated. And yet, people keep falling for it. Politicians are very well versed in telling you what you want to hear. We keep hoping that this two-party system of polarity is somehow going to yield us different results. But as the saying goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Real change isn't going to come from the politicians and established players, nor is it going to come from the pawns and pieces that they control. Real change has got to come from you, the magical practitioner, who understands polarity and is able to transcend it. It's we who are going to have to bring people together in unity. It's not going to come from those who work so tirelessly to keep us divided. They have us so focused on all of our differences that we don't remember what it is that we have in common. They'll tell us that the other side wants to destroy America, while they all secretly deal with each other behind the scenes. When the truth is, at our very core, all of us want the same things. Sure, there may be a few people out there that are like, ha, the lesser of two evils, I want the greater evil, bah! But for the most part, we all want the same things. We all want prosperity. We all want to feel safe and secure. We all want better opportunities, steady work, to have a better life. And if we can all agree on at least that much, then we can at least have a common base on which to build a dialogue. It's not what we want that differs. We just all have different ideas on how to go about getting it. And if you can hold to this truth, it'll be much more difficult for the polarized forces to manipulate you. Control by polarity doesn't work against unity. For those of you who watch and follow Game of Thrones, who is the best player of the game? I would have to say Littlefinger, Peter Baelish. Now, he's a terrible person, but he's also an example of someone who understands the law of polarity and uses it for his maximum benefit. In fact, using polarity is his only game. No matter what happens, whether it's good or bad, he never loses his shit. You never see him freak out. He always remains calm and cool, seemingly depolarized, while he uses polarity to move everyone else, creating opposition between other houses and play them off against each other. And in this way, he's able to move kings and queens. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go out and pit people against each other. There are a number of ways that you can use polarity to your benefit. But in order to do so, you're going to have to remain calm and cool and depolarized. So most of the reactions that I got were from Bernie Sanders supporters, because he's the one that I eliminated first due to his socialist tax policies. I got reactions from others, but Sanders supporters were the most outspoken. Now, I'm going to get into why I'm not keen on a socialist tax policy, but I'm not going to give you the same old mundane reasons that everybody else gives you. What would be the point in that? Instead, I'm going to give you what I always have given you, a new perspective, a magician's perspective. And while I do so, keep in mind that it's this unique magical perspective that drew you to my channel and videos in the first place. Now, I don't fault Sanders supporters for supporting him. I know that like 20, 25 years ago, before I got into Magick, it would have sounded pretty good to me. And I don't believe that all Sanders supporters are lazy and don't want to work and want to just get freebies. Certainly there are people out there like that, but I believe that the majority of people just want what we all want, a better life, to be able to afford things that they might otherwise not be able to want prosperity for everyone, themselves and others included. So I don't question the intentions of those supporting socialist policies. But, as we know, the road to hell is often paved with good intentions. Extreme compassion is just as unbalanced as extreme greed, and it's very difficult for people to understand that. See, I would rather teach a man to fish than to just simply give him a fish. We all want the same thing for everyone to have fish. We just have different ideas on how to go about it. Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. And that's what it really comes down to. If everybody was simply just given fish, there would never be any incentive for them to learn to fish. And then there would be no reason for Frater to continue, because teaching men to fish is a big part of what I do. Which is more efficient? 10 people who know how to fish fishing? Or one person fishing for himself and 9 others? See, a big part of what people don't realize is that it doesn't matter how much money you give the poor. If they're in a poverty mindset, they're always going to be poor. Giving them money is not going to change anything, not unless they've changed their programming. And you see this with multi-million-dollar lottery winners who go broke again within 3 to 5 years of winning. There's a poverty mindset and a wealth mindset. Those who are in poverty do not understand wealth and money. To quote Bob Proctor, see yourself living in abundance and you will attract it. It always works. It works every time with every person. You don't do that just once. Oh, see, it didn't work. No, you have to continuously do that. It's an ever ongoing thing. See, poverty and wealth are only byproducts of one's mindset and subconscious programming. You change those, you'll change your results. It's that simple. Another reason I don't support Sanders' policies is because, quite frankly, it violates natural law. Saturn's law. That law being, you reap what you sow. Which, if you remember, is something my father told me over and over and over again, drove me crazy. Today, it's one of the most valuable lessons I ever learned from him. You reap what you sow. And what Sanders wants to do is take what others have reaped and give it to those who have not sown. And this is a huge problem. See, a lot of people's problems come from the fact that they keep violating Saturn's law. Saturn is a merciless taskmaster. Nobody likes to adhere to Saturn's law. Everyone likes to rebel. But when you follow his law and adhere to it, you reap the rewards. See, I have Saturn in Taurus in the second house, and I always thought that that placement would mean that I would never have any money. No matter what I did, I was stuck with it. And that is simply not true. What it really means is I had a lesson to learn, and once I followed the law, then I would reap the rewards. See, everyone is here to learn lessons in life. And much like when I said, who am I to interfere with your contracts as a third party? Well, who am I to interfere with your life lessons? If you are in poverty, then you are meant to learn the lessons associated with poverty. To interfere with that would be to deny you your lesson. And if you don't learn the lessons that you were meant to, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to have to repeat them. Saturn is the Lord of Karma, and he will beat you every time until you adhere to his law. I said it before, he can be your greatest enemy or your greatest ally. Also, from a magical perspective, there just simply isn't any reason for it. Aside from having to learn a life lesson, there isn't any reason why anyone should be impoverished. And to say otherwise would imply that people are powerless. And as a magician, I know better than that. It's only a person's subconscious programming that keeps them helpless. Out of all the magic that you can do, manifesting money is the easiest. Love spells, healing spells, all that stuff is very complex in comparison. You know, I've given everyone a money spell on this channel for free, and I've put out a program, The Secrets of Wealth, detailing every single thing that I've done to get to where I am today when it comes to magic. And knowing what I know and experiencing what I've experienced and seeing what I've seen, it seems absurd that people would say that there's no other way for them to improve their situation besides taking from others, reaping what they have not sown. I dare not violate Saturn's law again. Been there, done that. And a lot of the time I spend talking about improving your finances, money magic, is because this was such a huge lesson in my life that I had to learn. Saturn in Taurus, second house. And wherever you have Saturn in your chart, you are going to have difficulty until you learn this lesson and adhere to Saturn's law. You reap what you sow. Saturn is all about responsibility, limits, and boundaries. We all need to learn our life lessons. So disappointed to find out that my mentor has a very self-serving nature. Personally, I would have rather not have known. Freebies, really? Safety net? Dude, realistically, not everyone in America can own a business, buy a PPO, or will discover magic, and people sometimes trip and fall hard. As I said, everyone needs to learn their lessons. I had to go through some pretty rough stuff and times for me to be where I am now. And I had to go through it. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be effective doing what I do now. If people trip and fall hard, they were meant to trip and fall hard. People always fail before they succeed. In fact, it's part of the process of success. A magician fears not these things, for the same force that was able to get us to where we are is the same force that will get us through anything. You must have very little faith in the divine to speak the way that you do. You speak of realistically, yet you ignore the laws of reality. For you to say that I am self-serving shows how very little it is that you know about wealth and the laws that govern it. No man can become rich without enriching others. Anyone who adds to prosperity must prosper in turn. The way you create wealth is by serving others. It's the ones who aren't creating wealth who are the most self-serving. It's just not working out because they violate Saturn's law. When they're not serving others, they're not sowing anything. And so they don't reap anything. And so I would suggest to you to ask yourself how you can best serve others, how you can provide value. So I hope I've made my points clear. And as I said in the very first video on this channel, you don't have to agree with them, but you should listen to them. They may sink in later and give you that aha moment when you need it. Remember, if you listen to just only people you agree with, you don't learn anything. It's like preaching to the choir. Stick to the principles and adhere to the laws, and you too can become a player instead of a pawn. And speaking of laws, the Laws of Magic 4th cycle is getting ready to launch this Friday, March 25th. For those thinking about signing up, you only have a couple days left, as it won't be available again until around September, October. After its launch, I am planning on taking some time off from this channel. Spring is here, and with it comes spring cleaning and yard work, and so I need to get a jump on those. But I shall return as soon as I'm caught up with all of that. So, until then, take care.